Hello, gentlemen, and welcome to the Men Save Your Marriage show. My name is Terry. I'm your host. I did an autopsy on my failed marriage, and now I use the lessons that I learned to coach other men on how to save their marriage before it fails. I'm going to share with you the things I wish someone would have shared with me before my marriage failed. Are you ready? Let's get started. Hello, gentlemen, and welcome back. You just heard the bell. That means that it is time to enter the ring, and we are in the fight to save your marriage. My name is Terry. I'm your host, and I'm thrilled that you're here today as we jump into episode number 23 of the show. But this is also episode number 3 of the Mastering Communication in Marriage series. And today we're going to talk about listening to understand versus listening to respond. This one is a big one. It was always a big one for me in my marriage, and it was one, unfortunately, that I have to say that I failed at miserably. It took a lot of growing, a lot of autopsy on my marriage and on my actions in my marriage to figure out how bad I was at this. And it's something to this day in every exchange I have with anyone that I work on this, because I realized how I failed horribly. And I don't know where I heard this. I can't remember. Otherwise, I would gladly attribute to them. It certainly wasn't my thought. But somebody told me once, I heard somewhere, somebody said, in life, you will sometimes be a great example. But also in life, sometimes you may be a horrible warning. And unfortunately, with this one, for a long time, I was a horrible warning. And I am striving even to this day to be a great example in this, or a better example, let me say that, because I always had a problem with listening. I didn't listen to understand. I was only listening to respond. And it is imperative. I mean, I am a living testament to how badly you can screw up a marriage if you're just listening to respond, to get your point in, to get your thought in. So let's dig into this, okay? As always, I'm going to bring you 3 points. We're going to dig into those briefly. This is just for you to take with you into the day, to learn and to grow. Most men listen to win, not to connect. That's I should just say in parentheses, yes, this was Terry, right? Most men listen to win, not to connect. In this episode, we're going to break down the differences between listening to respond and listening to understand, and how the latter, the listening to understand, can save your marriage. So let's get into all this good stuff here. We're going to start with point number 1, the trap of listening to respond. You know the drill. She's talking maybe about her day, maybe about you, and your brain is already racing. Well, she's wrong about that. I'll say this next. Wait till she hears my side, right? Those are the kind of things that used to go through my head, and I'm sure they've gone through your head before. That is listening to respond. And it's a trap that turns talks into battles. How many times have you started a conversation with her and it was just a low-key conversation, but as you responded, and then she responded, and you responded, and then she responded, before you know it, now it's an argument, or it's a full-blown all-out war, right? And that was because I was listening to respond. And it is a trap that turns those talks, those conversations, into battles. It's about you proving your point, not her feeling heard, right? At least that's where I was. Picture her saying, well, you're never around. And you're loading up with, well, I work hard for us. Bam, pow, the fight is on, right? That's exactly what it was. The problem is, in that moment, you've missed her hurt for your defense. Research shows that 65% of arguments escalate because one partner is just waiting to reply. One of my clients, Paul, who would interrupt his wife every time she started to vent with, well, that's not true, till finally one night he stopped. He let her finish, and he never said a word, and she got to the end, and she just said, hey, thanks for not jumping on me. That was it. It was a drastic change just by not responding like he had been. Catch yourself this week when your mouth's itching to fire back, when your mind is starting to load up with all the things you want her to know. Just stop. Shut it down. Don't say a word. Focus on her words, not on your comeback. It's hard. It's like going through the argument while she's talking, or going through the conversation while she's talking and holding your breath. You feel like your heart's going to explode. Your head's definitely going to explode. But it's the first step to hearing her soul and to hearing her heart, and not just her sound. It's critically important, gentlemen. Point number 2, understanding builds a bridge. Listening to understand means stepping into her world, not standing outside of the edge of it with your fists up ready to fight. And I know, because that's how my responses approached my conversations with my wife before my marriage failed. And I was literally standing outside of her world with my hands up, dukes up. I'm ready to fight with my next response. And I was continually loading up the responses as she talked, and I was preparing to respond rather than understand. So listening to understand means stepping into her world. It's like you're asking without saying it out loud, why does she feel this way? Instead of, how do I counter this? Excuse me. So you're not asking, you're not loading your mind up with counters. Instead, what you're doing is you're pausing to think, wait a minute, why does she feel this way? Why would she say those things, right? You're listening and you're trying to understand. And you can even, and here's, just try repeating back what you hear. Something as simple as, wait a minute. So you're upset because I forgot again? And I know you're just repeating her words. Wait a minute, so you're upset because I said, or because I did. You're repeating it back to her, but what you're really doing is you're showing her that you're with her. It's not agreeing. It's just showing her that you're not against her. You're actually with her, right? So you're upset because whatever, because I forgot this, or because that's why you're, by just responding that way, by asking it back to her, almost repeating her words back to her, you're just showing her, I'm with you. I'm not standing against you. Couples who do this report 40% less conflict, because this becomes a bridge between them rather than a wall or a barricade. Just imagine, she's mad about your late nights. Well, you could argue, well, I'm earning money, but instead try, wait a minute, you're feeling alone when I'm gone, huh? Just something as simple as that. She knows you're out earning money. She knows you're working late. There's overtime available. Whatever the case, she gets that. That doesn't change how she feels. And it doesn't mean that she may understand maybe you need the overtime. Maybe you guys want, but it doesn't mean she's not lonely. So rather than arguing back, well, I'm out earning money, or, they overtime this or whatever, just, well, just imagine. So you're feeling alone when I'm gone. It changes everything. Now you're trying to understand her and understand what she's feeling, instead of, again, loading up to fire back. One of the other guys I worked with, Chris, his wife would rage about his golf weekends. And finally, one time it started again. He was going to golf, and she started to rage and vent a little bit, and he just stopped and said, wait a minute. You miss me, don't you? And she softened, and they talked, and they planned a night out instead. It was just as simple as listening to understand. So this week, pick a moment when she's talking. Don't fix it. Don't fight it. Just reflect. Reflect back to her. Wait a minute. So you miss me, or instead of I'm earning my way. So you're feeling alone when I'm gone, right? Find a way to respond back to her and help her feel understood and heard. You say something as simple as, you're frustrated because, okay, am I hearing you right? You're frustrated because of this or because of that. And just watch her face. Pay attention. And you will see between the two of you, that bridge begins to form. It's not about losing. It's about linking your hearts through the noise. because you recognize and you're listening to understand rather than listening to respond. That's what's so critical about this. You're understanding, you're in that moment, you're trying to understand her, helps build that bridge. So when she's venting, when she's just, oh, you're frustrated because, and repeat it back to her and see what happens. And you will see that bridge begins to form. Because again, it's not about losing. You're not losing the argument. It's about linking your heart and hers. So now she feels like she doesn't even really know if you agree with her yet or not, but now she feels like you're at least in the fight with her instead of in the fight against her. Point number 3, how to make this shift, because this is a significant shift. And once you figure out how to make it, it's something that you can begin to practice. As I said in the beginning, this cost me tremendously in my marriage. I know it did, and this is still something I'm working on to this day. I try every conversation to make this shift. So making this shift isn't rocket science, but it does take muscle, mental muscle. Start by slowing down. Take a deep breath before you speak and let her words sink in. If you're anything like I was, I could feel in the moment, in the argument, in the disagreement, as she was offering up what she felt, what her frustrations were. I was loading up with retorts, right? Well, you don't know this, or I'm doing that, or I'm trying this. And I was just loading up, and I was never listening to understand. I was never trying to make this shift. I was just listening, preparing my response mentally. That's why this takes that mental muscle. So you got to slow down, take a deep breath before you speak, let her words sink in. And understand, you're not a lawyer in a courtroom. You're her husband, and you're in her corner. And if you'll just remember that, wait a minute, I'm not a lawyer on the other side of this argument. I'm her husband. I mean, I love her. I care about her. I'm in her corner. So let me understand rather than respond. Then I can fashion a response that comes from the understanding rather just in a response that comes from my frustration. And then you can ask one question, just one simple question to dig deeper. Something as simple as, what's the toughest part of that? When she's venting, or what's that like for you? And you're asking very simple questions. But what it does is it forces you to listen in that moment when you ask that very simple, poignant question. What's that like for you? It forces you to listen and not load up with your own responses. The guy that I work with regularly, Tony, had turned every talk into a debate. Every talk he would turn into a debate. Shoot, he does it with me. But as we worked through this, and he was starting to work on himself for his marriage, for his wife, he tried to pause. So one night, she's venting about her job, and he breathed. He just paused, took in a deep breath, and he asked, "So what's stressing you the most?" And that little sentence was the trigger. And they talked real for the first time in months. Because rather than coming right out of the gate with a response, he came with a question that allowed for a pause, that gave a moment. And she recognized, wait a minute, he's genuinely asking me what's stressing me the most. And that fostered a conversation for the first time. I mean, a real conversation for the first time in months. So I want you to practice this week. She's upset. You pause, count to 5 if you have to, and then you ask something simple, just like Tony did, right? So what's stressing you the most? That's how you do it. Ask something simple. Now understand, it's uncomfortable. It's like lifting a new weight, doing a new exercise. But what it does is it rewires you from reacting to relating with her. And you'll feel this shift. But this is critical. However much you feel this shift, she feels it even more. And the pause, that breathing in, just like Tony did, breathe in, take that pause, and then ask, well, how does that feel for you, right? or whatever question you ask. That pause could be the difference between a blow up and a breakthrough. Wouldn't it be great if you could derail an argument before it ever happens, and instead you could have a breakthrough where you sit and you just have an honest, sincere, good conversation with her? How long has it been? Has it been a while since that happened? It's time to get back to that. And it's all in your hands. All right, wrap up call and call to action, final thoughts. Here we go. But first, every great athlete has coaches to push them, refine their skills, help them win, because no one reaches their full potential alone. If your marriage is struggling, do not go it alone. I have opened up coaching at mensaveyourmarriage.com, mobile coaching that gives you direct on-demand guidance and access to me. And just like a top-tier coach, I want to help you navigate the toughest challenges in your relationships. Through quick, personalized audio or video coaching, I'm going to give you the exact steps you need to turn things around wherever you are, just specifically for you. No fluff, no waiting, real help when you need it. Your marriage is worth fighting for, gentlemen. So let's win this together, because I am willing to step in the ring and fight with you. You can sign up at the website mensaveyourmarriage.com. It is under mobile coaching. And finally, the wrap up. This week, I want you to listen to understand. Here's 3 words. If you can put these 3 words together, type them in your phone, write them down, write them on your hand, whatever you got to do. Pause, reflect, ask. That's the sequence. When that moment happens, when you're in a conversation, when she's venting, whatever it is, pause, reflect, and ask. If you follow these steps, 1, 2, 3, pause, reflect, ask, what you're doing is you're derailing your immediate response. You're reflecting, taking in a breath, and pausing for just a moment, and then asking her a question. Well, wait a minute. How does that feel for you? Are you struggling with that? How does that land with you? Whatever the question is you ask in the moment, what it does is it forces you and it pushes you into a listening to understand posture versus a listening to respond posture. That's what I want you to try this week. Make that happen and watch her. She will soften, her face will relax, and she will just feel heard. And maybe you can have that conversation like my buddy Paul did. Then tell a friend about this episode. Another man fighting for his marriage needs to hear this. And somewhere in your orbit is another man that's fighting for his marriage. Make sure you're following the podcast and you're subscribed to get them as each episode comes out. Let's keep this thing going. And as a final thought, listen clearly, gentlemen. Understanding her doesn't weaken you. It strengthens your bond. Let me say that again. Understanding her does not weaken you. It strengthens your bond. Gentlemen, I want to thank you. I look forward to seeing you and talking to you on the next episode. In the meantime, I hope that you put these things into action in your own life as you fight to save your marriage. Thank you, gentlemen. Have a great day.